when there is this dissonance, you get into a fury, you get stressed out. And you believe that the other person is the cause of your stress. In fact, it's your lack of assessment that is the cause of the stress. So, this is an important point. How do you get out of stress? Number one, fix a goal that is beyond your selfish, self-centered interests in life. What matters is, when you do that, you have an inclusive approach to things rather than an exclusive approach. Say, let's take, for instance, two people are meeting and they discuss things across the table to work together for a particular end. They want to bag a contract, say, and both parties have to work. When they're discussing the matters, if they treat each other as adversaries, the outcome is going to be failure. If one is trying to beat the other person down and the other person is trying to extract the more out of this person, nothing is going to work out. Instead, if they treat themselves, both each other, as partners who are working towards a particular end, then they achieve success. Even in an area like sport, you're playing the opponent. The opponent is trying to get you out, you are trying to survive the opposition. Even then, if you treat the opponent as an adversary, it agitates your mind. If you treat the opponent as a partner in raising the level of the game, it's a wonderful experience. That's what it is. Inclusive, not exclusive. The second thing is, when you have a goal in mind, you focus on the collective good rather than the individual good. That's important. If all the time you're looking only at your personal interest, what will happen is what happened to Arjuna, it broke down completely. If you look at the collective interest, then the individuals automatically get taken care of. Say, for instance, if all of us work for the benefit of the nation, when the nation prospers, automatically all of us will prosper. But with scarce resources, we are all fighting for getting a bigger slice of the pie, all of us will go down the drain. Third is, you have a larger view of things rather than a myopic view. That myopic, short-sighted view of things is what causes stress. So, the next thing is, once you fix a goal, you have to back it up with hard work. Many of us have a higher vision, have a higher goal that we are aspiring for, but we're not doing enough about it. So you need to work incessantly, constantly. The focus must be 24/7/365. This doesn't mean you have to be a workaholic. It means the focus, this thinking must be there constantly. How can I improve upon achieving this goal? What can I do? Let's look at it differently, etc. This thought must be going on in your mind. And this is how people excel in any field of endeavor, whether it is in the field of science or art or music or sport. This constancy of vision backed by hard work is what is important. Without looking at the reward. Oliver Goldsmith said, "I felt a secret pleasure in doing my duty without reward." Amazing concept, which is highlighted in Vedanta. Just do your bit. Do what you have to do. Do what you ought to do without looking upon the fruit. Why? Because it is when you focus on the present action that the fruit will come to you. Plain and simple. The fruit is not under your control. Action is under your control. Focus on the action, fruit automatically comes to you. Next, surrender. When you do your best, you're working hard, you fixed a higher goal, you're doing everything that you can possibly do in order to achieve the goal. Still, you must do it in a spirit of surrender. Surrender means there are two ways of looking at it. A devotee says it is thy will, it's God's will that will prevail and not my will. So he subjugates his will in favor of God's will. An intellectual understands that the law of karma will function. The result, the fruit, is dependent on the past actions along with the present action. In other words, it is the resultant of all our actions put together that creates the fruit. Since we don't know what the past is, what will happen, you let go of it. There's no anxiety, in other words, for the fruit of action. And when there is a higher goal, there's hard work and surrender. You let go of the anxiety for the fruit, then you achieve excellence. Now we've dealt with desire. Let's take a brief look at ego. After you've done this desire management, desire reduction, you've fixed a goal, you've worked hard, you've surrendered, chances are you will excel. And when you excel, when you gain success, prosperity, you become a celebrity, you run the risk of arrogance, pride, insolence. The best performers, if they don't watch out, they get into this little bubble of ego, which alienates them from others and most importantly from their own inner self. It feels good to be on one big ego trip. It feels good to have people adore you. But if you don't watch out, the pain that comes later is terrible to handle. So the best among us need to watch out for this ego. How does the ego function? Or what can we do to reduce the ego? First is, when you have achieved success, acknowledge the role of others in your success. An intelligent person understands that there is nothing that he can do by himself. Yes, he may be in the forefront of activities. Yes, he may be in the limelight. But there are hundreds and thousands of people around him who have contributed to your success. And you can't deny that. So you have to acknowledge the role of others. You also have to acknowledge the role of the divine. There is some power beyond you that functions through you. And when you achieve excellence, all that you have done is remove the obstacle that comes in the way of the divine force function. So whenever you see an outstanding musical performance, an outstanding sports spectacle, an outstanding artist, what is it that is happening in them? If you interview them, they'll say, I've only focused on the present task. And whatever happens, happens automatically. They're almost oblivious of what is happening. All that they understand is there is some power beyond them which is functioning through them. So you must acknowledge the role of the divine. That is why in the Indian culture, every little aspect, every aspect of life, whether it is work, domestic, social, corporate, is divinized, so that you don't lose this perspective ever. How does the ego function? See, when you are terribly egoistic, you'll forget about other people's contributions and assert and said, I am the doer. An arrogant person is one who says, because of me, my company functions. Because of me, the country functions. Without me, what will happen to my family? They'll crumble. He doesn't understand. They'll all go on happily, peacefully, without you. It is the arrogant person who has an impediment in everybody's life. Once he's out of the way, everything functions normally. As he begins to understand, as knowledge dawns on him, he accommodates others and says, we together achieve things. He's willing to give others credit for achieving the objective. You instead of getting marginalized, an egoistic person always gets marginalized. You begin to integrate with people. Instead of being a divergent force, you help in the convergence of energies towards one particular common goal. And most importantly, when you're egoistic, you have a tendency to focus and highlight on other people's faults. As you dissolve your ego, you begin to see skills in other people. And you learn the art of leveraging those skills to achieve a common objective. As Emerson said, this is something that we must never forget. Every man I meet is in some way superior to me. If you carry this attitude, you learn a lot more in life. Every individual, every human being you come across, whatever be his nature, has something outstanding which you and I can learn from. If you carry this attitude throughout life, you'll be happy, you'll learn, and you'll escape this agitation and unhappiness that comes out of ego. Now, you and I consist of the body, mind, intellect, and Atman, spirit. As long as your focus is on body, mind, and intellect, you will be in varying degrees of stress. Because if you have identified with the body, mind, and intellect, the body has its demands, the mind craves for emotions, the intellect wants knowledge. So, as long as you are operating within the realm of the body, mind, and intellect, you will be in stress. It's only when you shift your identification from the body, mind, and intellect to Atman that you are in peace, you are in bliss, there is zero stress. So how do you, in the ultimate analysis, how do you eradicate stress? How do you bring down stress? You can do it only with the intake of spiritual knowledge, and that's why today we're discussing this. In this country, as in no other country, there is this abundance of spiritual knowledge, high degree of spiritual capital. And this is what we need to fall back on to develop ourselves, our countrymen, and be a beacon light for the world to follow. There's enough suffering that's going on around because of a wrong perspective, because of this sheer ignorance of the devastation that is caused by desire. So how do we bring about the shift from the body, mind, and intellect to Atman? In the Gita, Krishna says, first of all, he says, be humble in affluence and majestic in adversity. We are just the opposite. We are majestic in affluence, and when you get knocked on the head, then at least there is an external show of humility. You have to be, this is, I think, Oliver Goldsmith saying, humble in affluence, majestic in adversity. So, how do you get to that Atman? You become Atmavan. Atmavan is, you gain these glimpses of the divinity, that divine power around you through various experiences. You look out at the sunset over Marine Drive and it inspires you. You go for a walk when it's pouring in the rain and you wonder, what is this fabulous gift? It's as if the heavens are opening and throwing forth blessings on us. You watch a little child and wonders, what fabulous manifestation of beauty, of innocence, of grandeur in that child. So these are little glimpses that you get of the divine power. You have to capture them and expand upon them. And as you do that, you become Atmavan. Your focus is on Atman in and through your experiences. And then what happens? The world is at your feet. Once you allow these glimpses of Atman to hit you, then the questioning starts. Who am I? What is the world? Where have I come from? As Shankaracharya says in the Bhaja Govindam, Kastvam koham kutayatah kame janani ko me tatah iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram vishvam tyaktva swapna vicharam. Kastvam koham kutayata. Who are you? Who am I? Where did I come from? Kame janani kome tata. Who is my mother? Who is my father? This doesn't mean you have to pull out your visiting card and say here. You don't know me? I am CFO of this particular organization. So you feel like saying, you're not CFO, you're a UFO. This is not the questioning. So who am I? Where have I come from? Suddenly I was born in this world. And somehow I'm carrying on. What is my role in this world? What is it that I need to achieve? Where will I go? Who's my mother? Who's my father? Where from? What have I been created? Iti paribhavaya sarvam asaram vishvam tyaktva swapna vichara. Thus reflecting, set aside this entire senseless world, which is a figment of your imagination. Swapna. It's like a dream born of imagination. And then you get clued in. Shankaracharya then says,